Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Guys, we have one of our usual videos here going in depth into a couple of very interesting topics, especially around CBDCs. So guys, let's go straight into this one, and we're going to start off with the article that pretty much is the summary on our thumbnail. MP Matt Hancock, those that don't know, was recently the health minister for the United Kingdom. Through one reason or another, obvious reasons, he was pretty much removed from his position. Not many people realised that actually Matt Hancock was indeed the digital minister before he was the health minister. But then people didn't put two and two together as to how did a digital minister become a health minister. And in the miraculous same time, we had the you-know-what in the last couple of years. And all of a sudden, we were talking about digital health passports and passes. Well, do the maths, guys. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that right now. We'll probably get kicked off or something. So here we go. Matt Hancock. Now, this is always funny to me because governments and politicians around the world always, bad mouthing crypto, this, that, and the other. But here we go. Change of heart all of a sudden. Crypto is already here and in use. It's expanding rapidly in the UK and around the world. We don't have a choice as to whether it is happening. The choice we have is how we shape it best to benefit people. Well, that's a huge statement, guys. Now, if he was still in government, would he be saying that? I'm not sure. He probably is still in government, to be honest. You know what happens with this? It's like, they pretend that they're not actually part of it, but they actually are in the background. But to the general public, they've seen media articles and assume by gospel that this is the case. But that aside, we have to look at this situation here in the sense that these words are quite powerful. We don't have a choice as to whether it's happening. Now, when people say to me, and we talk about like maybe Agenda 30, the World Economic Forum, Davos, all this stuff that goes on behind closed doors, as it were, albeit it is mostly 90% public. It's just that you're never going to get educated in this unless you educate yourself, right? These aren't conspiracy theories. Agenda 21 isn't a conspiracy theory. Agenda 30 isn't a conspiracy theory. These are all documentations you can download off of the UN website freely as the public of the world. And you can read through pretty much all the structured emphasis of the next X amount of years. I mean, there's only 8 years left, of course, till 2030 when Agenda 30 concludes. Same as Agenda 21. Concluded around 2020, 2021, conveniently. And the Agenda 30 program was actually signed by 160 plus countries in 2015, of which one of those was around digital currencies and structure of diversity, sustainability, all these things, right? So we've got all these narratives now and convenient battles around the world when we're actually concluding elements around reserve currency, dominance in reserve currency, what's going to be moving forwards. We've got things like the SEC lawsuit with Ripple, which I don't think is a lawsuit at all. I think they're working together absolutely 100% to dictate how best to keep the power within of the US government because of course, the US dollar is diminishing day by day. So we have to do something drastic. The poor government and everyone are losing more power and control over the people. So when this Hancock says the choice we have is how we shape it to best benefit people, what they really mean is how to best benefit themselves as they always have done for over 100 years in the traditional banking systems. They've realized now finally that they are losing control of everything. What have we got to sort of talk about on the side of this as things go by? Well, we know that there's a big push for CBDCs. Those that don't know, that's central bank digital currencies. This is a big topic for a number of years now, but very much heated up conveniently, as I said, as the years go by. Very close now to the sort of 2024, 2025 markers where supposedly, and from the research we've done, is around the areas of when things are pretty much going to be switched on worldwide for digital movement in currency. Now people are going, oh, that's not so bad, but I'm going to rewind maybe 2 or so years ago, and I was talking about crypto and blockchain to many people. Some are in groups now that I operate, and others operate, which is good to see that people finally realise. But people always like this conspiracy theory. There will never be a cashless society. There'll never be this. There'll never be that. But here we are, a few years down the line, and all this talk going on, right? So this was quite interesting in the sense, another videos that we've done in the past is about like social scoring. Okay, so social scoring is the element of being rewarded or not rewarded, and the opposite to that, if you do or don't do what you are told to do, or indeed being rewarded for like things like activities, like earn activities, play to earn, view to earn, all of these things, right? Activity to earn could be something simple like helping someone out, and then you getting rewarded or scored by the other person that you've helped. It could be doing exercise, being measured of how much how far you ran today. You get rewarded for your health. But you could do something bad, and then you have restrictions, whether that be buying certain things or doing certain things. And you might think that's far-fetched, but this is something that's been trialed in multiple countries, particularly in China, for probably about 10 years now. Social scoring system, social credit scoring system. You've got basic universal income coming here in the UK. And you've also got these trials going on in Canada as well. I've come across this article here, which has been flying around my LinkedIn and everyone else's the last couple of days. Anthony Pompliano here has put this article together. You can listen to it or you can read it. I'm not going to go into massive detail, but central bank digital currencies will be one of the greatest violations of human rights in history. Now, I want to make it clear, guys, there's two elements in crypto. Okay, there's one that was originated from Bitcoin and for this decentralization, i.e. there is no form of governance, there is no DAO, there is no one owner, there is no controlled entity of Bitcoin. It is purely power to the people, right? And I will tell you now, there are multiple documentaries that you can find on YouTube, Netflix, Prime, whatever, to realize how powerful this has been to many people around the world. We're talking about people who have had maybe nothing, or perhaps been unbankable, or just not been in the fair trade systems that we supposedly have, and they've been able to succeed. They've been able to create their own legacies and lives together. Something that's been suppressed by banking and government control and country control for probably hundreds and hundreds of years, to be honest. We see now the rise of Africa, which is absolutely brilliant to see, and a lot of this has come from blockchain, the removal of the trade barriers and this, that and the other. We're seeing dominance from places around the world that haven't been seen for a long time, and I welcome that. If you want Agenda 30 to work and World Economic Forum's topics to work, this is how it's going to be, right? But you can't have it both ways. However, what they can do is put you into a system, whether you like it or not, as Hancock has said here in his exact words, that we don't have a choice as to whether it is happening. I've said this multitude of times, not just to people around me, people I meet, but also the videos I do. It's fact. These agendas are in play. Okay, I'll reiterate what I said in a previous video. I used to fear this stuff, or I used to be a prophet of it, or being claimed as a conspiracy theorist, this, that and the other. And I thought, you know what, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm just going to go down my path that I believe and feel, and so far it's been correct. And then people will realize eventually that something is amiss, something is going on. And I do generally think a lot more people are waking up to this. Like people who never used to are seeing the world a lot differently now. They're realizing the censorship, for example, social media and all this stuff. They're realizing the terrible narratives that keep getting spewed on our mainstream media channels and stuff right now. This isn't like a big prophecy video I'm trying to do here. What I'm trying to emphasize is that we're going to have a choice very soon, if not already made for us. We're talking about the basic universal income, two-tier society, all this crazy topics a few years ago that I heard about are now coming into fruition. And there's a partial element of concern, anxiety, fear, all of these things circulate around people's minds, right? and I did when I first sort of heard about it, but now I try and make money off it. Morally, not sure if that's correct or not, but I do have ambitions and goals with my hopeful crypto profits in the near future, where I can help homelessness and a lot of other world problems. So I have my reasoning to go down the route of crypto and investing in this way. But in some of these that you are investing in, including myself, you are actually investing in the demise of humanity. And someone said that was a really interesting point in one of the comments in the previous video. And I stand by that. And what I mean by the demise of society and humanity is the element of control, the element of freedom, the element of being able to speak your mind within reason, of course, and have an opinion. And to the point where now you cannot say what you want. Fair enough if it's something criminal or anything like that. Absolutely, you cannot. But general speech is create divide. We're in a crazy world right now, hostile, aggressive, angry, opinionated world right now. But we're also in a position where all these trials are coming together and passing. You see all these things about like doing 4-day weeks, 5-day weeks instead of 7 or 5 or 3 days, 4 days. Now people, this is the whole aspect of like have nothing and be happy, right? Well, okay, so if you're going to work less days, they're going to pay you less, right? So if they're going to pay less, where's your money going to go? How are you going to pay for things? But eventually this society will go down the route of the metaverse. It will go down the route of CBDCs and play to earn, view to earn, activity to earn. All the traditional jobs will start disappearing. Have you not noticed the last few years, all the weird narratives that came out there asking people to go from being a ballet dancer to being a coder and all this stuff? It was too fast. It was too fast. And then they finally realized that, whoa, you can't switch humanity that quickly. So all these crazy things, these narratives, these ideas were coming out left, right, and center, and they were just backfiring. But here we have now as well the talk, the interest rates, the inflation continuation increasing because we keep printing money. We reported last year in June or July last year, I think it was, the US had printed in that 1 month more than it had done in its 200 financial year history. But people were okay with this, right? They just carry on. They go, oh, that's crazy. Oh, my bread's gone up. Oh, my milk's gone up. Well, you've just sat there and let it happen. And I'm not wanting to be in that kind of system anymore. That's why, for me, my path is decentralization. But I invest in centralized aspect projects. What I mean by that is if you're investing in things like Quant, like Ripple, who are defining the technology and blockchains behind central bank digital currencies, which ultimately is a figure of removing the traditional banking system, removing your ability to use cash anymore. And I did mention a few videos back, I kind of like the idea that people can't avoid tax and stuff anymore, because if I'm paying it, why shouldn't everyone else have to pay it? Unless whatever circumstances you have in your life, right? For one reason or another, that's fine. But we reported last year about the banking situation is all disappearing. We talked about cashless society a few years ago, and I talked about it in a video, one of my first videos when I did this channel, this whole aspect of cashless society. And people were like, a few years ago, no one's going to do that. I'm not trading my debit card in to go cashless and go on apps, this, that, and the other. Hey presto, what happens? Everyone switches off in 2020. No one takes cash, or pretty much no stores or anything take cash anymore. You have to use contactless payment. Oh look, you've had to do it. The force has entered the array, and then all of a sudden, all your banks are closing down. All your banks are closing down locally. You can't find one unless you drive like 10 miles down the road or 20 miles down the road. By the time you've done that, you can't be bothered. You use the live chat on the app, and that's pretty useless and botted anyway. So what do? You just eventually just close off, and you'd be like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna have to do this. See, it is the end of discussion. These articles and these statistics came in by the 2022 with 841. This is Barclays, by the way, is the individual bank that has reduced its network the most, with 841 branches having closed or scheduled to by the end of 2022. Why 2022? Why 2022? Why is it that in November we have the weird thing where the old cash notes going in the UK and you have to get them into the post office or whatever as soon as possible because you can't use them anymore? Why are we switching to digital very quickly? Why is it that we've got these CBDCs turning on in the next 2-3 years? Can you please all understand that this is unavoidable. You have a decision to make soon. All of these things, 1,110 branches by the NatWest Group, RBS, Ulster Bank by the end of 2022. Lloyds Bank has shut down 723 sites, rising to 770 in 2022. It's crazy. These are all the big ones. Using our bank branch closure check, you can check which ones are local to you and this, that, and the other. But it's absolutely mental. Then you got here, the chart shows the number of closures between January 2019 and 2022. This is madness. So you're basically going to be forced to go, oh, I can't do that anymore. The ATMs are disappearing left, right, and centre. One, because people keep nicking them and they can't be able to replace them here in the UK. But two, it's predominantly around the fact that, yes, there's the argument that people don't use cash as much because we're going into digital, right? But that's the exact narrative. That's the exact answer. People a few years back saying, no, this will never happen. And then all of a sudden you're adhering to the system and watching it just happen. And this is fine. I prefer digital personally. But right now you do have an element of control, albeit that we did see elements of people like in crypto last year being decided upon by our banks instead of us as a decision whether we can and cannot invest in things anymore. You don't do that to the stock market, but you do in crypto. And I appreciate the regulation conversation, this, that, and the other. But that's where it was. It was crazy. People were going tearing their hair out. What's going on? But look at this. Fewer people living near banks and building societies. This is literally from today on the Which website. The UK's branch network has seen significant reductions in recent years. Many customers who rely on branches to access cash for everyday essentials and face-to-face services will be concerned about what local closures mean for them. I'll tell you what it means. It means you have to travel another 10, 20 miles to go and do your cash business, or indeed just completely give up on that idea and go digital. This is what's happening. They're getting people to bring in their cash. The time is running out. They want the cash back in the system because then they will turn CBDCs on, and then before you know it, you will have pretty much no control whatsoever. What do I mean by that? These things are going across left, right, and centre around the world. We're talking about here personalised inflation, increase, basically personalised, like we see personal advertising and things like this, right? They're talking about personal inflation rates, financial censorship, which we're talking about like social society and social credit systems here, telling you what you can and cannot spend your money on. The tracking traceability of it, of course, is a good thing for like removal of money laundering and fraudulent activity, but there are crazy other sides to it. Have you been eating too much candy? You can't buy candy anymore. Have you been gambling? No, you can't use public transportation, blah, blah, blah. So all this stuff here is very much the topic that we've been going on about. If you've seen Black Mirror, like the social scoring episode, this is just a window of opportunity in the near future. Social credit system arrives in Canada. To be honest, like I don't really know much about this article system, but it's clear I've got people in Canada telling me what's going on. Pretty much every day, good friends over there. But yeah, these guys were telling me that some people were invoking some form of financing act or whatever, stopping people from, they're basically blocking people's bank accounts to whoever was being involved in protests. Okay. How crazy is that? Right, so hang on a minute. So we had a world war, right, like 100 years ago for the freedom of people. Now, whether you believe or don't believe or want to agree or not want to agree with someone, as long as they're within reason, as long as they're with, not creating violence or, problems or whatever, the freedom of speech is something that was given to us, right? We fought for it. Well, I say we fought for our ancestors, our generational ancestors fought for this. But now it's all being taken away. So then you ask the question, well, what's the point in voting? What's the point in all this? Like, it just comes back around. The game is afoot. The game is changing. But this is all happening, guys. It's absolutely crazy. So you put all these things together and you think, well, this is madness. I want to get out of the system. So I want to make money off this, right? I've had enough. Like, I don't want to be part of it. It's kind of like really odd what the next few years are entailing. People are getting excited about the metaverse. I think it's a really cool thing, for sure. But there's also crazy elements like, for example, the fact that probably society, like 90% of population of the world, probably never want to come out of the metaverse because they're depressed in their own world. We're going to see the removal of society probably generationally, in terms of like social skills and this, that, and the other. We're probably going to be in more of a labor mode in the metaverse. So you actually have to go and do more things in the metaverse than you would do in the real world to earn money. Kind of like that Ready Player One thing. Watch Ready Player One twice. If you watched it once, watch it twice, but look at it from a different perspective of what it's actually trying to tell you what's coming. It all makes sense, right? So really, really interesting things going on. And finally, the last point I wanted to make is about the Digital Pound Foundation, guys. This is like yet another point that we have a British pound, digital pound coming. Okay, we reported this last year. It's on its way. But what's interesting, tomorrow, if you guys are about, 2 p.m. UTC GMT, 2 p.m. in London, February 24th, 2022, 2 p.m. You can register. It's a Zoom entry. Essentia, Quant, Ripple, SDX is part of, there's quite a few things interesting about that. I think XDC partially are involved in the back end of that, as well as all these other ones. RTGS Global, all on one platform, talking about DLTs, and how we move the ecosystem into a CBDC and blockchain environment in the UK. So yeah, this is happening for sure. Did you know 87 countries are reviewing the case for a CBDC, representing a staggering 90% of global GDP? I'm telling you, a few years ago, people were saying to me, this is a conspiracy theory, Simon, stop talking about it, you're going mad. And here we are. We're literally on the doorstep. Are you investing in Ripple? Are you investing in Quant, Stellar Lumen, all of these massive, gigantic companies and projects? Because for sure, they're going to be switched on very soon. But we've even got things here. The Bank of England Governor, Andrew Bailey, is a big topic here in the UK at the moment about bonuses. And he was basically saying, like, to not don't take your bonuses and stuff due to the situation, due to the climate. But this guy himself is on £300 an hour. Our care workers are £9 an hour. Now, this is a narrative, I wouldn't call it like scaremongering, but you know, media and stuff will of course portray the agenda that they want, right? I'm very balanced with my opinion. I'm very balanced. Like, I always sit on the fence with most things, but if I believe and understand something, I'll talk about it. But this, I don't agree with this like aspect, because I agree in the sense like care workers should be paid a hell of a lot more, right? Whether that's in hospitals or general care workers, I think it's an absolute disgrace that our country, and I'm sure it's similar across the world, that you know, people who do that daily job of helping people and looking after people are treated so poorly financially. And yet you've got the top earners like this, £300 an hour. Now, it's not my place to say that someone deserves or doesn't deserve X amount of loads of money, right? If you're in high positions in business, you get paid more. That's how it is. But there comes a point when you are in the positions that some of these people are, and they're getting paid an extortionate amounts of money and telling others that they shouldn't be taking bonuses and this, that, and the other, but you're going to be. That's where it becomes wrong. And you've got these people in control of our lives, basically financially, when we've got higher bills. Our energy bills in the UK are ridiculous, as I know they are in Germany and many other countries that are rising and rising. We've got inflation going on. Food is costing more and more. I don't go to the supermarket much, right? I probably go like a few times a year, just randomly, whether I'm driving past or whatever. I went in one the other day, which I haven't been to for like maybe 2 years, Sainsbury's. And I was like, looking around, I was going to get some bread. And I was like, what, £1.50? When did bread become like £1.50 for a loaf? Like, that's crazy. I'm just going to go back home and make mine in my bread maker. Like, that's crazy. And that sounds stupid to be worried about £1.50, but it used to be like 70p like a couple of years ago. And that's just bread. All these things, all these families out there like struggling, you see on the news and stuff, and I'm like, I totally get it. Like, it's crazy. But these are the people that are, you know, running stuff, guys. Like, but looping this back round to this whole aspect of what's coming is like, we have hardly any control left anymore. So you're going to have a decision, like I said earlier, you're going to have a decision to make in terms of the way you want to live your life. Do you want to go down a centralized route where majority of people will do because they can't be bothered, whether it's to think for themselves or they just don't know, or most people are just happy to just go along with stuff, and that's fine. Like, that's your choice. But I know enough now, I know too much probably, to want to go down that route anymore. I don't want to do that. The things that are coming don't fit with my moralistic compass, if you like. Yes, I'm investing in things that are arguably pushing this path, but my goal is to help the world afterwards. But unfortunately, sadly, you need money for campaigns, you need money to get something going. You can't really use social media and stuff to push stuff anymore, because people jump on it, it gets taken down, it gets censored, so you're stuck, right? So you need some form of legacy another way. And I just feel like a few years ago I thought, we're going to lose this battle, so we may as well join them to an extent, and then hopefully come out the other end and try and fix some things. But the fact of the matter is, like I said, everyone's going to have a choice. And this is really interesting, guys, because we all want to make money, right? But there is part of me that sits there and goes like, actually, do I want to be a part of some of these, or should I just continue down a full decentralized route? And it's just a topic. It's something to think about. It's something to be interested about. I'm not saying what is right and wrong. Like, everyone has their own decisions. Everyone has their own thoughts. This is just me venting some ideas and philosophies and theories, and also what I'm seeing in front of me, both from research and information. I mean, it's clear as day when you've got people like the Digital Pound Foundation, which we know is part of the BIS aspect, what Sunak started a year or two ago at the innovation hubs in London, to formulate a plan how we can get the pound that we know today in a coin format, or indeed in our banks digitally, into a cryptocurrency, essentially utilizing blockchain, CBDCs. And look at this announcement. Digital Pound Foundation announces partnership with Crypto UK, fostering stronger ecosystem for new forms of digital money in the UK. These guys have been brought in, basically, guys, to formulate the exact policy making practices and solutions, as well as regulation. This is what's happening, guys. We're on the brink. We're on the verge of it all being switched on. Don't necessarily, actually do follow narratives to an extent that you see on the news, because it does affect the markets. That's how I'm looking at it now. I see life as a market chart now. But don't get too bogged down with narratives and things. Follow the money, invest in what you know, do your own research, and more importantly, just for your lives, just sit back a minute and think about which way are we going to go here? What are we actually doing here in this space, and what's to come? So hopefully this video has been quite interesting to listen to, maybe listening in the car or at home or at night, whatever. But these are my thoughts. It's over to you guys. But I will leave essentially with the aspect of what I've been watching recently, a film called Enemy. One of the quotes, control. It's all about control. Every dictatorship has one obsession, and that's it. They want to have control over the people. In ancient Rome, they gave bread and circuses. They kept the populace busy with entertainment. But other dictatorships used other strategies to control ideas, to limit information, to limit ideas and knowledge. How did they do that? They lower education, they limit culture, they censor any means of individual self-expression. And it's important to remember this, that this is the pattern that repeats itself throughout history. And then the final quote, guys, before I leave: history repeats itself, first time as tragedy, second time as farce. I'm not telling you what I'm relating that to. I think you can probably all figure it out. It might even be on this page already. But for sure, guys, it's a crazy world, but we're in it together. Thank you for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.